Yeah, we're definitely seeing something dying and clawing at anything that it can grab as it's falling into a desolate pit. And I definitely am I'm okay saying, damn it, it clawed into my relatives, it clawed into my, classmates, it clawed into people that I haven't talked to in a while that I just knew from previous times. And it's demoralizing. I literally will reflect back to that feeling that we've all had to just get right with. This is just so demoralizing to see people that you truly respect become a part of a psychosis, for lack of a better word. And as Marcia said, it's like that that capacity to appeal to authority instead of working in your own creatorship, I think it's a little bit of a balance between someone who's just on that path for themselves, but also got magnetized by a group tribal scenario, for lack of a better word, as tribalism and in this collective group think. And it's okay because once you get a little sniff that shit ain't right, you're gonna have a deluge of cognitive dissonance, of course, but you work through that and you see other people, having a nicer time, and they're like, man, I want to be like them. Well, they've worked through their cognitive dissonance, and that's why they're having a nicer time right now. They're not oblivious to things. They're certainly, staying abreast of what's happening, but they're not identified with it. And I think that's really, creating this analogy now where you actually are creating a sanctuary for yourself, and you're not doing it through a mode of disconnection or escapism, but you're actually, creating this sense of creatorship for yourself. Marcia, is there anything that came through thematically this week that would allow someone to really like redline that creator vibe?
Yeah, a lot came throughout this weaving, but one of the main points that you're speaking to is this: be your own person. It's time for us to be conscious creators. This is the end of victim consciousness, Spirit said, for the walking masters. We simply cannot carry heavy baggage forward and expect to not feel like we're damned, because like I said, the time buffer is no longer there for us to be like, oh, I'll catch that on the next cycle. That was what these last 2 years were about. I was saying earlier today to a friend that, teaching special ed, they teach you this way of teaching where, you model it first, I do it, and then we do it together to make sure you understand it, and then now you do it. And Spirit's saying we're out of the we do it stage. We're in the you do it stage. And we need to be aware individually. We need to notice, where are we reinforcing negativity in our lives? Like, are we complaining? Are we, bitching and moaning? Are we discerning and then immediately jumping to judgment rather than discerning and moving into the witness consciousness? Like, how are we dealing with Bizarro world and all that it is flinging at us in every direction? As well, Spirit asked, where are we still harboring resentments? This energy is simply too heavy to carry through. We also need to access where we might still feel undeserving of our dreams, because this is the year, like I said, where the unseen becomes the seen. So we need to make sure that we want our thoughts, that what we're thinking, to be what we're creating. If we're complaining all the time, then 2022 is going to be a big year of things to complain about. And if we're counting our blessings and being grateful, then this is going to be a year of just awe and appreciation and magic and alchemy. Spirit says, like, unlike the soul and the human self have ever seen in tandem. So we're being asked to be aware of our negative thoughts or any selfish motives that we might still have, and to be forgiving of ourselves, that as our consciousness expands and deepens, we're also given the opportunity to course correct the past and the future through the flashlight of our awareness. So when we start to deepen into these more expanded realms, we may be flashed to an event that happened to us in our 20s or even in another timeline. And Spirit will give us the opportunity to walk that timeline and choose a different path. And we can do that in our, I want to say our mind's eye, but it's really like our soul's eye, in our soul self. We can do that. and it changes the whole karmic destiny through time and space, through past and future, because that really only exists here in our realm, the concept of time. So we have this ability to course correct and change things that we may have been carrying forever, or even have been unconscious to, have this miracle healing in a moment. Spirit's calling it this simple process of alchemy, that once it is brought into our awareness and we definitively decide what we want, the timeline must shift. This is a powerful restorative tool. And finally, the last question here from Spirit is, what weeds are choking the life out of our garden? We need to be paying attention to what thought seeds that we are sowing out into the world right now, because January through March is this blank slate. We get to write a new script. And so Spirit is really encouraging us to pay attention to what's going on in our inner realm. Notice where we might be perseverating or chewing on something. And like you said earlier in the recording, to hand it over, to be like, oh, I've got it again. I'm going to give it back to you. And you can hand it over 350,000 times. I know I have to, because I like to perseverate on things. So it's a constant giving back and trusting that this is this time of magic that we can step into, but we're going to have this personal responsibility. And I think Lenny talked about it in one of the previous calls. Being able to respond means that we are out of a reactive state. And so we are being asked to be the guardians, the founder race, if you will, of this next world. But to do so, we have to take full responsibility for our own lives.